Wild West sheriffs played a crucial role in maintaining law and order alongside fellow lawmen and the local populace. While often romanticized and sensationalized in the media, the reality of a Wild West sheriff's life encompassed both perilous moments and mundane routines. Historical records shed light on the fact that Old West sheriffs spent a significant portion of their time involved in political campaigns, tax collection, and various county duties that extended beyond the realm of criminal law enforcement. Serving as elected officials for their counties, Wild West sheriffs represented an increasingly regulated way of life on the western frontier. What life was like for an Old West sheriff, a position held by notable figures like Wild Bill Hickok, Wyatt Earp, and Bat Masterson, was a blend of the mundane and the exciting. Remember to hit the like button because it helps us a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell to not miss the upcoming interesting videos. They weren't just gunslingers, they were also politicians. Sheriffs in the Wild West were good with firearms, yet mere skill didn't secure a sheriff's badge. As elected representatives, sheriffs earned their position through votes from county inhabitants, whether in regular cycles or special ballots. In the latter part of 1869, James Butler Hickok, famed as Wild Bill, assumed the role of sheriff in Ellis County, Kansas. The populace, desperate to quell rampant chaos, elected Hickok. However, his robust peacekeeping methods proved too aggressive for the locals. Following the demise of at least two men, Bill Mulvey and Samuel Strahan, Hickok was voted out of office during the regular election in November. The Democratic contender, Peter Rattlesnake Pete Lanahan, Hickok's deputy, emerged victorious. Though he didn't win another term, Hickok's brief time as sheriff garnered praise from a Kansas newspaper for his earnest endeavors to purge Hays City of perilous elements. In 1877, Bat Masterson embarked on his campaign for sheriff in Dodge City. Through a newspaper advertisement, he earnestly sought the support of the people for the position, all while asserting his lack of political inclination. Masterson's campaigning paid off, and he assumed the sheriff's mantle in Dodge City come January 1878. Among his constituents, Masterson became renowned for his composed decisiveness and his prowess as a formidable pistol wielder. Sheriffs had to convince civilians to risk their lives. Being a sheriff in an Old West town could mean long periods of little to no activity, or even carrying out menial tasks like cleaning the streets. Yet, when genuine peril arose, the role demanded assembling a group of men into a posse, sometimes even granting them temporary deputy status. Rounding up a posse, called posse comitatus, or made up of civilians, was one of the most powerful tools a sheriff had at his disposal. By 1878, a federal decree barred military involvement in aiding civilian posses, making the role of civilians that much more essential to maintaining order. Deputized posses like the Lincoln County Regulators, known for its inclusion of Billy the Kid, engaged in multiple clashes with a rival group led by Sheriff William Brady during the 1878 Lincoln County War. Originating in the New Mexico Territory prior to statehood, this conflict ultimately claimed the lives of 19 individuals. They dealt with competing lawmen. Sheriffs served entire counties, but they weren't the only law in the land. Alongside town marshals and local law enforcement, sheriffs crossed paths with federal marshals, sometimes as collaborators and at times as rivals. Town marshals could be elected or appointed officials. Wyatt Earp held roles as deputy town marshal and a simple peacekeeper across various locations in Kansas, while his brother Virgil took on the position of town marshal in Tombstone. Established in 1789, the U.S. Marshal Service shouldered responsibilities fallen within federal jurisdiction, encompassing tasks such as executing warrants, apprehending criminals, and transferring detainees. Throughout the 19th century, U.S. Marshals and deputy marshals ventured through the untamed expanse of the Wild West, venturing into towns devoid of organized law enforcement. Encounters between U.S. Marshals and county sheriffs or town marshals could lead to collaboration or conflict. For instance, Deputy Marshal Robert Weidenman arrived in New Mexico and apprehended several local deputies of Sheriff and fellow Deputy Marshal William J. Brady, only to be apprehended by Brady in return. There were still more jurisdictions at play. The military sanctioned their own enforcement officers on the frontier, while in regions like Texas, the Rangers assumed responsibilities along the Mexican border. Sheriffs had to break up or enlist vigilante groups. A posse comitatus could easily transform into a vigilante assembly, taking matters into their own hands while nominally under the protection of the law. Vigilante factions emerged in response to property violations, particularly horse theft, yet were just as likely to target individuals who didn't fit into the community. Minorities and women living independently frequently fell victim to vigilante harassment, lynching, or expulsion. To be a sheriff in the American West meant finding a balance. Vigilante groups could wreak havoc, but they also rooted out wrongdoers. In Montana, Sheriff Henry Plummer led a faction known as the Innocents, a band of individuals who pillaged, robbed, and committed murder throughout Bannack. When the populace discovered their misdeeds, they rallied to form their own vigilante posse. The group apprehended and executed over 20 members of the Innocents, including Sheriff Plummer. Being off-duty wasn't an option. The life of a sheriff in the Old West was perpetually shadowed by the uncertainty of impending trouble, a reality underscored by the unfortunate experience of Sheriff Tom Logan. In 1906, he lost his life while fighting an ill-tempered professional gambler. Logan, sheriff of Nye County, Nevada, was wearing only his nightshirt when he arrived at a mining town's house of ill fame, Jewel House. The scene that greeted him was one of turmoil, with patron Walter Barriot fighting with May Biggs, the owner of the establishment. Barriot drew his piece on the unarmed sheriff and discharging 5 rounds at Logan. According to witness accounts, even after being struck, Logan was seen holding Barriot down to the ground, having hold of his hands, in which the latter grasped a revolver. Regrettably, Logan passed away after that, but was praised as a hero for his time as a sheriff. The pages of the Sun's April 7th evening edition echoed with praise for this dedicated lawman. In the aftermath of the tragedy, Walter Barriot faced trial for the slaying of Sheriff Logan. However, the jury ultimately rendered a verdict of not guilty, asserting Barriot's actions were rooted in self-defense. Sheriffs enforced strict laws regarding guns. Although popular presentations of the Old West make it seem like guns and gun violence were unregulated, there were many towns and cities that had strict laws prohibiting them. In the town of Tombstone, visitors were required to surrender their weapons when they entered the town. This procedure entailed surrendering firearms at a local accommodations or the office of the town's law enforcement official. In the year 1881, this role was held by the town marshal, Virgil Earp, who, in his quest to instill order in the streets of Tombstone, deputized his 2 brothers, Wyatt and Morgan, as well as John Henry Doc Holliday, to help him maintain order. When cowboys Billy Clanton and Tom and Frank McLaury refused to surrender their weapons to the Earps and Holliday, it led to an engagement that left the cowboys slain. Tombstone wasn't the only town or city with gun control laws, as other locales such as Deadwood, Virginia City, and Dodge City also embarked on similar endeavors to regulate arms, albeit with varying degrees of success. Sheriffs were tax collectors. When sheriffs weren't protecting the populace, they were carrying out other duties for the county. Much like the English shire reeves who came before them, sheriffs routinely undertook the task of gathering taxes on behalf of the county. Collecting taxes allowed sheriffs to not only pay themselves, but to compensate their deputies and any other staff that worked alongside them. Some were basically outlaws themselves. In Bannack, Montana, Sheriff Henry Plummer led a band of marauders known as the Innocents, and he operated much like an outlaw himself. It wasn't uncommon for Wild West sheriffs to have ties to outlaw activities, either in their past roles or even concurrently while holding positions of authority. Wyatt Earp, during his youth, had a period of outlawry, and Sheriff Dave Updike of Ada County, Idaho, is believed to have been so unlawful that he extorted and stole thousands of dollars, including several bars of gold. Dave Updike, originally from New York, relocated to Boise, Idaho in 1864. He ascended to the role of the first sheriff of Ada County that same year. However, Updike's path soon took a darker turn, leading to the formation of a group of men implicated in a string of robberies and killings. The notorious Port Neuf Canyon stagecoach robbery of 1865 cast a shadow on Updike's involvement in illicit activities. He allegedly provided weapons to the wrongdoers. The heinous crime resulted in 5 fatalities and the disappearance of $86,000 worth of gold. Updike was later indicted for embezzling public funds and resigned his position as sheriff. Justice took a swift course as a vigilante assembly executed Updike in April 1866. To this day, the whereabouts of the stolen gold remain shrouded in mystery. Please like and share if you find the video content interesting and useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss the upcoming interesting videos. Thanks for watching.